Good morning, my fellow treasure hunters and explorers. Today I want to do a video about the gold of Leon Trabuco. He was a Mexican millionaire. Supposedly this treasure is buried somewhere in the New Mexican desert. And Leon Trabuco was a millionaire and he was a speculator. And this event happened during 1933, in July of 1933. The treasure consists of gold bars that were minted in Mexico, buried somewhere in New Mexico. It's believed that several Mexican millionaires conspired to make money from speculation and raising gold prices. It's an unresolved mystery that's probably not known very well, but it happened between the Navajo and the Ute reservation in New Mexico, up in northwestern New Mexico. The nearest big town is Farmington, and a pilot by the name of Red Moser landed several mysterious flights in the desert. These flights were witnessed by many Navajo people. Most of them couldn't speak English, and so it took a couple of treasure hunters using interpreters to get some information about where he landed, where Red Moser landed. It's believed that originally Trubuco and 4 other men were buying up as much of the Mexican gold reserves as they could, so that they could speculate that the Great Depression, that because of the Great Depression going on in the United States, that they would go to a gold standard and then the value of gold would raise exponentially. And so they conspired and smuggled this gold into New Mexico and hid it between Indian reservations in a very remote section of land. This speculation contained huge risks, but they had good reason to believe that through this speculation they would make billions of dollars. But what they didn't realize was that at some point the U.S. would ban, for a period of time, private citizens owning gold. So they bought up the Mexican gold reserves and cashed it into ingots. They probably put their identifying mark on it. Trubuco chose a sparsely populated region of New Mexico, and they hired Red Moser to make 16 flights with a large aircraft to bring in the gold 1 ton at a time. When the pilot landed, Trubuco met him with a pickup truck and took the gold to an undisclosed location. In July 14th of 1933, 6 months after this event, the Gold Reserve Act of 1934 became law, and the price of gold soared overnight. The men's potential profit increased by $7 million. But they decided not to sell, thinking that there would be even greater rewards in a few years or months. But they were not aware of the executive order related to the Gold Act. It was declared after January 1934 that private ownership of gold within the United States was illegal. According to a treasure hunter, Ed Foster, the partners had missed their chance to make a huge return on their initial investment. If they would have sold the gold when the Gold Reserve Act was law, instead of waiting until the executive order banning private ownership in January of 1934, almost a year later, within 5 years after they had smuggled in and cashed their gold, all the partners had died. I guess all the partners had died. Over the next 2 decades, Trubuco was unable to sell the now illegal gold, and when he did die, he apparently took the secret of the location to his grave. The treasure hunter Ed Foster searched for Trubuco's treasure in the desert around Farmington, New Mexico. He was convinced that he had found the 1933 landing strip used by Red Moser on a plateau called Conger Mesa. And I have found Conger Mesa on Google Earth and also found the airstrip. And it is a very lightly used airstrip that looks just like, 10 or 15 or 20 trips. Aircraft had landed there and then it had been abandoned and not used anymore. Ed Foster interviewed a Navajo woman, and through an interpreter he found that she had watched that large plane land on that airstrip many times. He also interviewed another Navajo woman later who was 6 years old in 1933, and she remembered several Mexican men who lived on the reservation. And subsequently, Ed found an adobe house with a veranda on it that was in this general area a few miles away, that did not look like any Navajo building, and none of the Navajos knew who built it. And so Ed surmised that the other men, the people guarding maybe the plane landing or as security for this dispatch, that was the place that they were living, and probably the same place that Trubuco stayed while he was waiting for the planes to land, and where he kept his pickup truck. Ed found another intriguing clue, a date and some words etched in the face of a stone outcropping that he calls Shrine Rock. He believes it may be the key to finding the Trabuco's treasure. It reads, 1933, 16 ton. And so between these 3 points, the aircraft landing area, the makeshift airstrip, the adobe house, a Mexican style house, the pinnacles, or the point that they called the Shrine Rock, Ed believes that the cache site is somewhere within this triangulated area. And this puts it near La Plata, New Mexico. One interesting note is from following the old road, from following the tire tracks, the old road that went away from the airstrip near Conger Mesa, I've been able to follow a road that seems to have no purpose and dead ends out in the middle of the desert. I'm sure that Trubuco had no idea that we would have Google Earth or access to aerial photography to try to follow maybe where he went. So if that area happens to be off the reservation, if I ever get in that neck of the woods in New Mexico, I want to explore that area with some of the technology that we have. Anyway, if anybody knows anything more about the Trabuco Gold, leave a comment below. If you've done research in this area and have anything you'd like to share, please make a comment and share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more gold and treasure stories from across the state, across the western states, and in a state near you. In the next few days, I'm going to be posting a video about treasure signs and symbols, some of the ones that I have found and what I think they mean, and some of the meanings that we've been able to understand. I'm going to go over some of the old meanings and things that people have attributed to them. And as one tip or clue along the way before we get to the video to consider is that most of these treasure signs and symbols probably had a unique meaning. I don't think that the Spanish, the Jesuits, or any other group of people had standardized meanings across the board. I think they adopted their own meanings, and for good reason. They didn't want other Spanish or Spaniards or people that found these cache sites to be able to figure them out and find what they hid. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and share. It really helps the channel out. I'm looking forward to warm weather and some adventures outside. And so stay tuned for some fun videos in the future.